That seems about right. Okay, we should be good now.
Alright, cool.
Oh boy, so this was an episode.
Yep.
Yeah, this, I'm going real, it's like, first section with like Horohoro, it's like, alright, cool character story, like, fight cab was non-existent. Everything after that, super hype, loved it.
The fight wasn't the point.
Exactly. The fight wasn't the point, but I still kind of did want to see the fight.
What I'm more confused about is if this was Kaleem's intention the entire time. After like the reveal, he should have just been like, "All right, move on." Like he didn't have to die for this.
Yeah, he really didn't. Like they didn't really have to make like a little grave for him either, I suppose.
Yeah, it's super clear that Kaleem, despite it never being mentioned, has some tie to Horohoro, or he just knew about his past somehow.
Yeah, I think what it is that Kaleem was just like, you know, his like exam proctor and stuff, and you know, he just sort of like knew about the thing somehow, I guess. So yeah, this is the big reveal, because remember way back, just way back, when Hal was dicking around with the group, he like literally turns to Horohoro and he's like, oh yeah, I know about the girl you like, and Horohoro gets really like flustered and like weird about it. And he's like, alright, fine, I'll stop talking now. At the time, I'm just like, okay, so, yo, Horohoro's got a crush, maybe it's June, maybe it's like, like Anna or something, Turns out, no.
Hal's like, I know your backstory.
Yeah, turns out Hal just knew this.
He might have even known that Kororo was, Tamiko. Or Damiko, yeah. whatever you want to call her.
Yeah, because we actually learn how, like, reading minds works this episode, so it's like, Hal can probably read the minds of ghosts, just, like, straight up.
Yeah, well, he has straight up, like, real mind reading, unless that was also kind of... Like, he mentions his past and everything, but it also kind of feels like they retconned how mind reading works.
Oh, yeah, like, I do not understand what the actual exclamation is meant to be. Because, like, this suggests one thing, but then you go, like, Hal backstory chapter, and it's like, it seems like he gained the power from, like, fusing with a demon, and that suggests something completely different.
Yeah.
So it's
he mentions the yokai, and he's like, he even says, like, oh, I think he rubbed off on me a little bit. So either Hal is, like, lying, or they retconned how mind reading works.
Yeah, there's either a retcon, or, like... I suppose it's possible Hal just doesn't know himself, and this is just his speculation. But if that's true, it's, like, is definitely not framed like that. It's very odd.
Yeah. Also, we get an explanation for why Horohoro calls himself what he does. And it's what Damiko called him, because he had trouble pronouncing his name.
Yeah, so we learned Horohoro's backstory. He used to be, like, friends with a girl in school who was, like, a bit of an outcast, because she was, like, a foreigner, or she was, like, from the big city, I think the explanation was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she was a bit of an outcast, and, Horohoro's got his, like, ghost stuff, so he was also outcasted, and they, like, clearly had, like, a thing for each other, like, just a good, wholesome, like, like, friendship. Probably deeper, honestly. It's probably a little bit deeper, but it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
These two might have ended up together had tragedy not struck.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I guess they kind of ended up together anyways, in a way.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But yeah, they're, like, into each other, and, like... she comes up with the nickname for him.
Yeah, because it's just, like, the Horo part of his name, just repeated.
Yeah.
It's a nickname.
Yeah, then you go back to when Horohoro first runs into Yo, and Yo's like, "Oh yeah, that's such a weird name, huh?" And he's like, "Yeah, don't worry about it." And we just put a lid on that. It's like, oh.
It's like, oh, that name has the fact that he still calls himself that. It's like, oh man, the name has significance to him.
Man, this is such a good Horohoro backstory.
It really is.
It's every time we just focus on Horohoro, it's great, and then the series continues, and it's like, alright, well, let's just push this guy into the background, because how else do you handle this character with everyone else around doing their thing?
Yeah. Also, it's kind of weird that she doesn't get to keep her actual form.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing where it's like, oh, now that you've told the truth and your frozen heart has melted or whatever, I get to be what I used to look like for a minute, less than that.
Yeah, so the big backstory is that it's effing the Horohoro's father wanted him to stop associating with normal people and stuff like that. So he's like, oh man, yeah.
It's not specifically just non-shamans or non-Ainu.
Yeah, I forget what exactly the deal is, but it's implied she has something to do with the dam project or something. Her family's yeah.
Yeah, they're going to dam a river and it's going to flood Horohoro's village. And naturally, the Horohoro's father, grandfather, whoever it is not happy about it. And he's like, you stop talking to her.
Yeah, she's associated with this, just don't. You were not allowed. So it's Horohoro's damn it, but he is kind of right. I have to respect my father's wishes and stuff. He basically runs away from her the next time they meet up, because he keeps ignoring her for months.
In the dead of winter.
Yeah, and Horohoro runs into the Barrens, and Horohoro is fine because of his shaman training and everything. But she is not, because she chases after him and just gets lost in the snow and dies. And Horohoro just eventually sees people dragging her body out in an ambulance or something after they finally find her. And he's at her funeral and stuff.
Yeah, when spring rolls around, he learns of her death, and they're having a funeral, and
yeah,
Horohoro's devastated.
Horohoro makes a face, and you just look at him, and it's damn, this really got to him, huh?
Yeah, that'll wreck you. That'll wreck you on the inside like nothing else.
Yeah, he is you could argue it's he's not quote-unquote responsible, but he at least feels very directly responsible for this. And he kind of is.
Not necessarily. Yes, he feels responsible, and I don't know, she shouldn't have tried to chase him through the snow in the winter, but no one's at fault here.
Yeah, no one's at fault, but also you could definitely argue Horohoro's a bit at fault.
It's a tragedy.
Yeah.
No one's to blame here, except for maybe Horohoro's parents.
Yeah.
Actually.
But yeah, so the effing Horohoro's just childhood friend just died, and he blames himself for it. And he's yeah, that's why just threw all of myself to my Shaman training, and I will recreate the Butterbur fields that she loves so much.
Yeah,
and it's oh. Yeah, this recontextualizes so much stuff about this character.
Yeah.
It's you learn that after she died, she became a nature spirit and became Kororo.
Yeah, as she was dying, the Koro.
Corpico? Yeah, what are they called?
The nature spirits were like, there is a way to live on, but you have to become a nature spirit and you lose your normal form, despite the fact that like that nature spirit got to be a big strong dude.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the nature spirit Horohoro's father has. If you remember back, yeah.
I thought he looked familiar.
Yeah, so I guess it's like the chief of the Corpo or whatever they're called.
Corpiker, I think.
Corpiker? Yeah, alright. So yeah, now it's like, oh geez, like, Kororo was just Horohoro's, like, childhood crush, like, this entire time. Yeah. And you just think back for a second, it's like, oh yeah, they did a lot of, like, scenes where Kororo was, like, jealous over Horohoro super hard and stuff. And yeah, it's like, oh...
Yeah, because she's very much aware of who she is. It's not like like she lost her memories because she's a nature spirit now. Like she just took on the form of the tiny little Corpiker for some reason.
Yeah, she's aware. She just can't seem to like really communicate that much in her like spirit form.
Yeah,
which honestly, yeah, makes sense. It's like there's a weird thing where it's like, oh yeah, now you've like opened your heart, I can return to my human form for a second to confirm what happened. It's like, it's kind of forced, but it's screwed. It's a good moment.
It was also a thing where she was like, she's like, I did it so I could learn the truth of why you started acting the way you did.
Yeah. Yeah, good backstory all around.
Yeah, and after this happens, Horohoro is all happy, and she's happy that he, told his backstory, and then he thanks Kaleem and just kills him.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's so abrupt. I didn't actually understand what had happened until it cut to like his grave and them being like, "Rest in peace, Kaleem."
Yeah, like, I should explain, it's like, you see this big reveal and stuff, and you have this cool, really good moment, and they're, like, together, and Horohoro's like, thank you, and Kaleem smiles, and the next thing you see is, like, an explosion from, like, far away, and then it just hard cuts to the grave, and it's like, yeah, hi, I guess you just straight up murdered him, huh? Yeah, Kaleem just, like, bit it super hard. Oh, man. But, yeah, they, like... Yeah, for, like, everyone just sort of, like, reconciles, and there's, like, oh, wow, I can't believe, like, this is the person Hal was talking about. Like, I should mention, this episode has, like, a really fast pace to it. Like, there are a lot of, like, little bits they just sort of cut out that really don't matter, but were just nice to see in the manga.
We get through, what, 3 fights?
Yes. We start, like, blitzing through these plans.
4. We get through, like, 4 fights. Kaleem, the chameleon guy.
You're right. Yeah, because the chameleon guy.
Nichrome, and I'm pretty sure that the thing at the end. Yeah, they get through the Chocobo fight.
Yeah, I forgot the like chameleon so fast.
Yeah, because it's clearly a comedy bit to lighten the mood after the Horohoro thing.
Yeah, after Horohoro just murders a man.
Yeah.
They have been doing it. I really wanted to become like I wish they would have made a fun little gag out of like every time they kill a patch tribe member, you just see them like their ghost just standing around in the background. So it's like honestly like you all just stand at the grave and like you see Kaleem just somewhere in the back. He's just giving them like a thumbs up or something.
Yeah, he just waves. He's like, bye, guys.
Yeah. Like, I loved her like following them around, but I just want it to be like this little like background detail after each of these encounters.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, they beat him, and like, something the anime cuts out is the return of the Ryu hair gag.
Oh, great.
Because in the manga, like, Ryu is, like, sad and he's, like, crying, and you see his hair, like, melting. Like it kind of becomes liquid. And the anime, it's just like a close-up on his face.
There's also a bit where Ryu is just like, I can't believe Horohoro had such a cutie with him the whole time. And it's like, now's not the time, dude.
I hate that the anime cut out the response to that. Because, like, Ryu is like, I can't believe Horohoro had such a cutie with him for such a long time as his hair melts. And you see Takagero on his shoulder, and he's like, you still got me. It's such a fun little moment.
In this episode, at least Ryu kinda does something.
He kinda does something, and they cut out the other gag he has in this series of fights. We're like, I'll just get to this right now, because they find a plant guy and he shoots seeds at them, and the anime there's like, just shoot into him and he just falls over. And the manga, you specifically see like one of the seeds blasts through his hair, like leaving a bullet hole, another one hits him in the chest, and the third seed just nails him right in the crotch. And Ryu is down for the count.
Okay, so that if they're gonna make Ryu job, they might as well make it funny.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm like, as a Ryu stan, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I've accepted his fate at this point, so at least make it funny.
Yeah. But yeah, so they have their one, they move on, and it's like, unlike, the I guess not pre-time skip, the pre-ending, series, where each of these plans had them, going back to the surface to screw around with Mickey and the others. Now it's just rapid fire, just one after the other. It's like, you know what, no, we can't keep wasting time with Anne and the others, we gotta get this crap done.
Yeah, we don't cut away to anything else. It's just aside from the flashback.
Yeah, everyone else is on the surface. They can't get down here. They do not matter anymore. At least not for now.
Also, there's kind of a bit of a gag where they're like, okay, well, I guess Horohoro is not going to be much help. And it's like Horohoro standing there kind of still in disbelief or whatever, with Kororo nuzzling against him with little hearts coming out.
Yeah, the effing hearts return. Right, the next one's the chameleon plan, isn't it? Yeah. Sorry, the jungle, I should say.
Yeah, so they show up to the forest, and they're like, alright, I wonder where he is. We're at the forest plant, and he's like, these fools with my chameleon oversoul, they'll never find me. And then Lyserg's just like, I can't find him with my dowsing, but using logic, I bet he's right up there, and points to exactly where he is.
Man, I love this bit. Lyserg just, he finally gets a chance to be a detective for once. And he's just pacing back and forth, just logically deducing things. It makes I forget exactly what they do in the I think they skip over this bit. But in the manga, they have this whole extended thing where Lyserg's oh, well, he's hiding in the jungle, so hey, let's just use the spirit of fire and just burn down the forest.
That's pretty good.
And of course Chocobo's well, no, we can't do that. It'd be too inefficient. We'd waste all our energy. And Rin's yeah, we can't do it like that because they'd be hiding in the river. So I'll use my power to electrocute all the rivers in the jungle as we burn the forest down, and that'll work. And they just stop at the moment where it's Lyserg's yeah, just kidding. And he's although if he was hiding in the forest, that would have probably made him come out for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And they go on the whole logic of oh, well, you have to be watching us, and they have to be somewhere we wouldn't expect, so
yeah, and Lyserg points to exactly where he is, and it turns out he wasn't actually sure, but his deducing where he is via logic actually was right.
Yeah,
and he's just nah, I was just distracting you until Opacho found you.
Yeah, and Opacho gets to do the thing.
Yeah, no, Pacho's like, your thoughts are so noisy, and then yeah, she turns into the ram and or the sheep and kicks him across the room, and that's the fight.
Do we ever see what Pacho's spirit is?
No, she just fuzzes up her hair, turns into a sheep, and kicks him.
I don't believe Opacho just has little sheep spirit.
I mean, it would make sense.
It would make sense, and I also want to see it.
Yeah,
that sounds like it would be. It just sounds like it would be so adorable.
Yeah, we'll never. We'll never see it though.
Keep in mind, Opacho's power is like 800 or something, but I'm just gonna say that it's like he has guys in like chameleon mode that probably negates his defense or some crap.
Sure,
I feel like that sounds reasonable. Yeah.
I feel like the writers were just like, let's just get to the end of the series now.
Yeah, we're gonna make a fun little one out of this and just give Opacho a scene.
This guy is less threatening than another like villain teamed up with a chameleon, Clayton from Kingdom Hearts. At least he's got a gun and fights you before you have the cure magic.
Oh man. Did you ever die on that clan fight?
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, me too. That dude was like, just holy crap.
Like
you don't know what you're doing, it's like, geez, Clayton's gun is strong.
Yeah, like I said, you fight him before you get cure magic, and as a dumb little kid, I was like, items?
As a dumb little adult, I'm still like, items?
I mean, I use items until I get cure. There's no reason not to. In fact, I use items. You need items in like critical mode, or you just never beat anything.
Critical mode, alright, like 100%. Normal mode, I'm like, well, if I need it later.
Oh no, I'm like, yeah, in the situation I'm in, where I still need to finish it. I was doing the data fights in Kingdom Hearts 3, and it's like, you need elixirs and like high potions and all that stuff, or like, unless you're just perfect and don't ever get hit.
Jeez.
But that's not me. There are crazy people who can do that, but not me.
I'd want to be crazy enough to do that. That sounds like it would be a lot of fun.
Oh sure, but that's like, you get good enough to be a speedrunner for that kind of thing.
Oh yeah. But anyways, yeah, like, Nar plant down, Nar efficient, just who cares? He's dead. Opacho killed a man.
Yeah, he's not important. Next fight's important.
Next fight is a good one. Holy crap.
Yeah, so the next fight is Nikrom.
Dude, Alright, so, like, this is the craziest thing. Because it's like, yeah, like, it feels like we had kind of, like, done the series for a while. It's like, okay, yeah, this is kind of reusable, but not really, and we were kind of, like, down on it. It's like, we had to fight those, like, the whole, like, what was after, like, the fought the snake guy? It was the,
well, I don't know.
It was the owl or whatever, and it was like, alright, yeah, sure, but this is kind of like nothing, and there's like something. Yeah, there was the Faust one, like, Radom, and we just like, we were like, alright, this is cool, and it just sort of pittered out, and we didn't care. And now it's like, just back to back, it's like, alright, yeah, just banger after banger after banger.
You get the sad story of a little girl's death, and then a funny moment to lighten it up, and then another character moment.
Yeah, it's a really good character moment. It's a really good character fight.
Yeah. So Ren just walks in, they see who it is, and Ren's just like, alright, let's do this, and just attacks Nikrom, and he's just like beating the snot out of him.
I will point out, this is Ren using his effing spear.
Yeah, he's not even... Yeah, he's using, like, his weakest techniques to fight him.
Yeah, his weakest original techniques. Because, like, the guy, like, shoots his, like, scorpion tail at him because he has a scorpion spirit. It's, like, Necrome, the brother of the guy Rin killed. And Rin just grabs the tail and just uses Basan Golden Punch. And he, like, goes into, like, spirit integration, lets Basan possess him, and starts wrecking him with his, like, spear Chinese slash dance.
Yeah. Ren's basically like, what is this weak crap?
Yeah.
I will beat you with my weakest stuff.
He just looks at me, he's like, yeah, your heart's not into this, you need to, like, get your crap together or I'm just going to wreck you. I'm not taking this seriously, like, legit. Like, the guy shoots the tail and Rin just grabs it with his normal, like, unoversold human hand and just stops it, and he's like, come on, man. There's a point where he just has him, like, held by the ponytail, and he's just kicking the shit out of him.
Yeah, Ren's just like, you're pathetic and this is stupid, fight me for real.
Yeah, bring out your second spirit ally already. You need your brother's spirit to win. And I do want to point out, like, we did see the other, like, spirit before a little bit. Because, like, yeah, when, like, Rin killed Chrome and we see that flashback, it's like a cricket that's, like, on his arm. It's like a silver cricket thing. So it's like this guy's taken the cricket and he's formed his own oversoul with it, like, separate from his existing one.
Yeah, so now he's got good kicking legs.
Yeah, he's got the scorpion stuff, and now he's also fast.
Yeah, not just kicking, he can move extremely quickly.
So yeah, he's like, alright, fine, he's like, I'll, like, stop messing around more, and, like, Rin gives this whole speech, he's like, oh yeah, how do you, like, end hatred? And he's like, well, you can kill a man, but you can't kill the spirit, literally in this universe.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, how do you redeem? You suffer, and you, like, suffer through crap until you make up for what you've done.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what, fair enough.
Yeah, so Rin is provoking him the entire first part of the fight, because he's like, nah, man, I deserve it. Come at me.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what, I honestly love that. This fight did so much for Rin for me.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, Rin makes a good villain, and even Yo says, he's just like, you make a good villain, Rin.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like, Necrome's like, alright, fine, and he just goes at him, and he just starts winning, he starts beating the crap out of him. And he's like, yeah, thank you. He's like, because of this, I don't have to hold back and feel guilty about it. I could just go all out.
Yeah. So, for this fight, I wouldn't have been upset if Rin had lost. It probably would have felt right, even, but...
Yeah, either way, I would have been fine with this. This is a really good setup, yeah.
Yeah, because even though Rin lost, he seemingly helped Nichrome help work past his, like, hatred.
Yeah. It's, of course, Rin gets stung a bunch of times, but it's, like, oversold him, so it's like, okay, now, like, as long as Nichrome dies, it'll go away, but Nichrome does have to die. So there's no excuse to, like, not kill. Rin has to, like, go for his thing and take a life again.
Yeah.
He's killed his brother, now he's gotta kill him.
Yeah, but with the knowledge that they'll come back through and, like, revive everybody.
Oh yeah, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we had a cool little moment where he's like, shooting the lightning. Weirdly, it's like, him dodging all the lightning strikes didn't seem to be in the manga. It's cool, like, yeah, it's a really cool moment though, and it looks really good, and I'm happy they, like, had it. Yeah, it's like, it was a bit ambiguous, but from what I remember in the manga, it seemed like, like, they didn't even show him striking him down, it just cuts to the thing, and it's like, okay, yeah, improvements being made, fair enough.
Yeah. Also, with this image, like, you might be mistaken for thinking that, like, Rin has a stand.
Yeah.
Because of how composed he looks. But this is actually just Nichrom's, like, going super fast and catching him, like, in the middle of, like, saying something.
Yeah, Nichrome does the cool AI thing where he, like, teleports behind him, and a second later, Rin just turns around just like, Nani?
Yeah, he just eats it. Like, yeah.
I just wanted to get a good full buy shot of his, like, combined oversoul, and this is a good, like, shot for it.
Yeah, like I said, it also just looks like Rin has a stand, and that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. But yeah, Rin finishes him off, finally reveals his true power, uses his real, like, weapon, all that stuff. And it's like, alright, awesome, good fight. Next plan, we're, like, moving on. Like, just Yo integrates Faust and just, like, heals him up real quick. We get a quick down, Rin not liking needles. Yeah, alright, yeah, we gotta, like, blast through this.
But there's also a little bit where Yo is like, Ren is like, what if the hatred consumes me and I create a demon or something? And Yo is just like, well, you can beat hate with love, and one day you might settle down with a family. And it's like the only thing to ever shake Ren.
Yeah. That's like, a good point to mention, yeah.
Yeah, the idea that Ren would, like, settle down in the future, and he's, like, blushes, and it's like, wow, that actually got to him.
Ren needs to become the Vegeta of this show. Like...
Pink Batman shirt included.
Yeah, I need to, like... There's a moment in, like, the Shaman King, like, sequel manga, where we see Rin grown up, and he's just, like, become a family man with this pink Batman shirt. And, like, just one guy just, like, tries to hurt his wife or something, and he just brings out the, like, Thunder Fin. The Bushin V2 or whatever it's called. The Super Bushin V2. Yeah, then we get to, like, the fourth fight of the episode. Holy crap.
Yeah, and he's not significant to any of the characters, but he's cool.
Yeah.
It's still a pretty cool fight.
Yeah, that's the thing. I really like this song, because it's like, alright, like, of course you don't want every fight to feel identical, right? You want to kind of, like, like, change things up. And this changes things up a bit. It's like, alright, we got the emotional fight of the way, we got, like, the comedy fight. Now it's time for, like, the serious, like, strategic fight. Where it's like, alright, everyone just starts attacking him one at a time, and it's like, I think Rin just goes first. And he's like, oh, don't worry, my spirit is the spirit of a plant, and because of that, I'm immune to lightning, because they're, like, rooted in the ground.
Yep.
And it's like, after that, it's like,
Horohoro's like, oh yeah, well, plants hate cold.
Yeah, and he, like, uses a different plant oversoul of, like, a skunk cabbage. And he's like, oh yeah, these can form even, like, sub-zero temperatures. Isn't that fascinating? And he's like, yeah, it turns out I have the oversouls of many plants with me. Because plants are, like, really efficient and really strong.
Yeah. Ryu's like, alright, fine, I'll just cut them all down. And he just shoots him from range.
Yeah. And, like, just not skipping a beat, he, like, just, like, takes Ryu out, just nails him in the dick. And he just takes out, like, a type of cactus, and he's like, oh yeah, this species, like, absorbs, like, incredible amounts of water. I wonder how your flames will deal against it, Lyserg. And Lyserg's just like, damn it, he's got me.
So this dude accounted for, like, every eventuality.
Oh yeah, 100%. He was, hard prepared for this.
Yeah, and also, as, he's got a bunch of plants, and he's like, yeah, so the thing is, these are super energy efficient, because plants are the strongest and oldest spirit type.
Yeah, they're really old, and they're, like, really straightforward to control. They don't... Yeah.
He just throws out seeds, and they, like, grow instantly and do attacks and stuff.
Yeah, he, like, gets the, like, vines going and just, like, ties everyone up for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Chocolov is just like, alright, I guess it's my time to shine then.
Yeah. And Chocolov's like, alright, it's fine, y'all be all sniff out his, like, whatever he's got going with my super nose. And he, like, rushes in, and he, like, forms a really stinky plant, and just blasts him in the face with the stink.
Yeah, it grows a Rafflesia plant and like it knocks Chocolov straight out. And he's like, yeah, it's like the second smelliest thing on the planet.
Do you remember what Chocolov's big run gag with his nose was?
No.
There was a running gag that was like just like well established so far, where it's like Chocolove kept getting like poked in the nose by like Rin's spear and like getting stabbed in the nose.
Oh, okay.
And the anime cuts this little one out, but in the manga they like just called back to that because Chocolove gets the like stink gas and he falls onto the ground and he like tries to like touch his nose, but because he's the big dumb like effing jaguar claws,
He stabs himself.
Yeah, he stabs himself in the nose and makes it worse.
Fantastic.
Yeah, like Lyserg is just like, you sure you don't need help? You seem to be like struggling a lot, man. That's a lot of blood. But yeah, Chocolove furs it out and he's like, okay, yeah, yo, don't worry. He's like, I'll take him. And, it's like plant guy. I forget his name, but he just like, forms a bunch of like...
Talon.
Okay, yeah. He like forms a bunch of like seed pods that just shoot seeds like bullets. And Chocolove's like, okay, I got this, yo. And he like takes his spirits and he just integrates them into the air itself and just like burns all his mana just to like wither all the plants away with like just like high just friggin' frequency wind energy or whatever.
Yeah, so he discharges Furioku through the air, amplifying it. So it's like it's basically erosion to the extreme.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, it just the guy's just like, yeah, wind. It'll like blow, like wither plants and like reduce everything to desert. And he's like, I got to deal with you now.
Yeah.
And then Chocolove just kind of does it again.
Yeah, he does not deal with them fast enough. Like, doesn't make, like, complete sense, but screw it, it's really cool, and it's, like, fair enough.
It was cool. I liked it.
Yeah. Chocolove got his big moment, finally.
Yeah.
It's, like,
so, It's not even clear that they killed him. I think they just, like, destroyed all of his plants so he couldn't fight back.
So, it's very ambiguous in the manga, too, but they did cut one quick thing, which is that, like, after Chocolove withers the plants, he uses Ayer's rock for real.
They shouldn't have cut that. What the heck?
Yeah, he brings it back. And you just see Ayer's rock from, like, a distance. And it's like, alright, I guess they just crushed him with Ayer's rock.
Fantastic.
I guess they just, like, destroyed him with a giant stone.
If they were gonna show that off in the first time he used it and then call back to it later in the manga, they should not have cut it out of the anime.
Yeah, like, there's only, like, this and 2 other episodes left, so I understand, but also, like, there's so many good gags they just cut that they could have kept in. Like, holy crap. Oh, man.
Yeah, that's pretty much the end of the episode. They leave the plant, the ocean plant, and all of a sudden they just feel how I don't know, like his energy or like that he's about to wake up.
Yeah. I should probably mention, after a chameleon one, we do get the explanation for how, like, mind reading works.
Yeah. Supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly. And it basically goes that, like, if you just feel enough negative emotions, then you're able to, like, see into people's souls.
It's like, oh yeah, the ability to read minds comes from loneliness, because you're always thinking, like, what is that person thinking? Do they hate me? And it just kind of manifests as a power for some reason.
Yeah, like, I forget if the anime included this, because I didn't, like, go back to check that part clearly, but, like, the manga does elaborate that it's like, oh yeah, it's an extension of the ability to see, like, ghosts, because you're literally seeing, like, a person's, like, soul, like, their spirit.
Makes sense. Makes more sense than the anime where he's like, oh yeah, everybody can do it.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, if you just, like, see someone's soul clearly enough, you can, like, read their mind, and it just happens, like, instinctively.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, yeah, like, makes sense, but also wasn't this, like, a demon power? Alright, sure. Oh, we learned, though, Pacho's named after, like, the demon Hao used to be friends with, Ochio or something.
Yeah. Ohachio, I think.
Ohachio, yeah. Yeah, we had quick theory. It was like, so it's like a Haitian name, and like how's like a Haitian name? What? So yeah, apparently Hao did name Opacha, which is interesting.
It could just be that he found Opacho as a kid, like maybe as a
I'd
baby
believe
even.
it. Yeah. Like Opacho read his mind and then like said something, and like Hao was no, he won't even had to say so. Like Opacho read his mind, and Hao was like, "Wait, this kid knows exactly what I'm thinking because I can read his mind." And like that just sort of led to like the whole thing because he's like, "Oh, he reminds me of myself. I gotta save this kid.
Yeah.
Gotta like adopt him from the slums or something. Just take him with us, teach him how to use spirits."
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I will like protect this kid. I like him. Right, and we get the big end of episode stinger, which I'm sure, like, is going to be really cool next time.
It's the alien.
Well, yeah, that too, but also, like, hey, Silva's in the glacier plant.
Oh, yeah.
Silva fight next episode, and then alien fight? Yeah, sure, alright.
Yeah, so should be also interesting next week.
Well, what the crap is the alien going to do?
Who knows? We'll see.
Man, remember when we were, like, speculating about, like, Golva being the final, like, officiant at the end of the plans?
I mean, she probably still will be.
Oh, man, I don't know if there's time for Golva now. Like, I think they might just have to, like, blast through it.
The alien might get blasted through because they're not significant unless it's like a mask and it is a mask unless they take off the mask and it's like, oh crap, it's so unimportant.
Yeah, who could the alien even be that we would know? Like, I don't know, unless the alien's like Lily Rara, I don't know if that would work.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense because we watched her die.
We watched her soul be destroyed specifically. Man, who could the alien even be if it had a secret identity? Like, what would they even?
I have no idea.
Cause like, I don't know, I get the impression the alien's probably like a girl.
Sounds like it, but it could just be a voice changer.
It could be. But I don't know, now I'm just thinking of like what female characters have, cause it's like I don't think it would be Rin's mom. That would make no sense, but maybe? Why would she be an alien though?
I don't think it's gonna be anybody we know.
Yeah, but now you say it, now I'm just thinking it's like, but what if? Because if we call it early, that would be kind of amazing. If we call it early as a joke, that would be fantastic. Oh man, but yeah. How did say they have an interesting oversoul, so that's all we have to work with. All we know is they wear a mask and they have an interesting oversoul. Although he did also say that about Big Chief, so I don't know how much stock to really put in that. Like, we know the alien Orsol's interesting, we know Big Chief is interesting, we do not know how Hao feels about green seeds. So, is there anything else we really want to get into?
Not really.
Yeah, it feels like we just blasted through this, but I mean, yeah, this is a really quick episode. Like, yeah, good backstory on Horohoro, good, like, use of like effing bells. Like, I'm glad. Yeah, this is just like this feels like what I've been kind of like wanting more out from the series for like a good while, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, we're just gonna go out, we're gonna have like some cool character moments, and we're just gonna have like, some fun character gags and just sort of like, like blast through things kind of. And now there's only 2 episodes left, and one of them is gonna be dealing with Hal, probably. So, oh boy, I wonder which one that's going to be. Man, this is probably gonna be like next episode. We're gonna blast through Silva and the alien, and then we'll kind of get the like awakening of Hal. And after that's gonna be like, okay, how do we like deal with him, and how do we wrap things up now we have? That's gonna be interesting. So yeah, should we just wrap it up then?
Yep.
Any final thoughts, I guess?
Nope.
Alright, yeah, I guess see you around.
Later.
Later.